Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Good evening, my fellow Americans.
The year is 1961. President Dwight D. Eisenhower delivers his televised farewell address to the nation. J.F. Kennedy is inaugurated as President of the United States.
What your country can do for you.
First animal returns from space. A dog named Blackie aboard Sputnik 9. Elvis Presley peaks to #1 with Are You Lonesome Tonight? And in the fall of that year, the new Christian Education Building is completed at a cost of $105,000. Pastor Ken Beale was delighted with his new office in the completed fellowship hall. He rejoiced, "For now I have a place for my office instead of in the parsonage where you have to go through the bedroom or the bathroom to visit me." The new building provided much more room for Sunday school sessions and a place for programs and dinners. The worship services continued in the church building with close to 250 in attendance. Improvements were made to enlarge the sanctuary by removing the old glass room dividers. By 1963, 2 morning worship services were held at 8:30 a.m. and 11 a.m., and new programs included orientation classes for new members, Girl and Boy Scout troop meetings, as well as junior church and youth fellowship meetings. A survey that had been conducted in 1962 indicated that approximately 500 new homes would be built within the community in the next 3 years. The surrounding farms and fields, including the dairy farm directly behind the church, formerly owned by the 2 Tyson brothers, Harold and Russell, would become housing developments. Because of the steady growth in the church and community, Pastor Bill and others saw the future need for a new sanctuary. On Sunday, March 1st, 1964, the mortgage for the Christian Education Building was burned, and the church was without debt. The members rejoiced. With a new membership now of 489 and an average attendance of over 300, the congregation was challenged to move forward and give careful thought and prayer to their sense of stewardship and support the ministry of the church for Christ in a growing community. A goal was set for building a new sanctuary that would be completed and ready for consecration at November 1965, the church's 100th anniversary. Plans included a new church sanctuary, a new administrative wing, a parsonage, and room for additional parking. The goal was to raise $100,000 over a 3-year period, and the pledged amount totaled $114,000. The congregation met the challenge for Christ in a growing community.
We are marching to Pretoria, Pretoria, Pretoria. We are marching to Pretoria, Pretoria, hoorah!
Hi-ho, it's off to war we go. Hi-ho, 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 it's off to war we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho.
The sanctuary, administrative offices, and the parsonage were consecrated outside on December 4th, 1965. Christmas Sunday, December 26, 1965, the first Sunday service was held in the new sanctuary. A consecration service was held Monday evening, January 3rd, 1966. The final cost of the new building was $270,000, and another building campaign was launched 2 years later in 1967. The total indebtedness was paid in full by 1971, and an additional 2.1 acres of adjacent property had been purchased. As the membership grew, the offerings received exceeded the budget required for the needs of Jarrettown Church. To ensure the existing levels of stewardship, a new campaign was initiated called From Plaster to People. In 1970, the administrative board formed a Future Needs Committee, which was challenged to investigate the needs of the physical plant, staff considerations, and outreach. As part of the study, it was determined that a new organ would enhance the musical program of the church. The 3-manual Rogers electronic organ was moved into the sanctuary. Operation Outreach was one of the most unique missionary programs in the Eastern Pennsylvania United Methodist Conference. It became a model for other congregations to serve others beyond their own walls. By 1983, over $200,000 was spread throughout the Philadelphia area and beyond. Over the next several years, an additional $138,000 was also shared. These are examples of areas of support. Woodcock's African Missionaries, Emmanuel Church in Philadelphia, the Henderson Settlement, which is dedicated to meeting the needs of the Appalachian community, Iona School in Jamaica. In the initial phase of the Future Needs program, funds were allocated for a part-time director of youth ministries. Ken Beale Jr. was hired October 1971 at the age of 19. In 1972, the old church building was turned over to the youth for their use. The young people enthusiastically refurbished the interior with painting, special lighting, posters, and banners. It rained every day that the young people worked on redecorating their building, and they appropriately named the building the Ark. Ken Beale Jr. co-founded Project Gift, Getting Involved for Them, for the young people of the church to be actively involved in providing gifts for the needy at Christmas. The youth gathered contributions of food and clothing from the community and prepared packages which they delivered to designated families throughout the area. Bob Pinciotti followed Ken Beale Jr. as Director of Youth Ministries. Then Mike Murphy, Charles Fox, and Brad Bloomster, who was heard to say, "What, I'm full-time?" The church membership continued to grow throughout the late 60s and 70s, as indicated by the size of the confirmation classes. During the 1970s, the youth, under the leadership of Mike Murphy, created the Chapel in the Woods, using benches made from the trees and a wooden cross as a worship center. Maintaining the Chapel in the Woods was often used as a project for Scouts to earn their Eagle Scout Award. In 1985, Sandy Walker and Craig Kenyon were the first to be married in this beautiful setting. Beginning in the 1980s, our youth participated in Creation, a 4-day Christian music festival at Agape Farm campgrounds in central Pennsylvania. They enjoyed music, worship, and Christ-centered teachings. Our youth used the United Methodist Church campground, Pocono Plateau, for year-round retreats.
If the Lord's the Lord of them, and a friend will not say never, 'cause the welcome will not end. Though it's hard to let you go, in the Father's hands we know that a lifetime's not too long to live as friends.
The success of our youth program created a foundation which led many of our youth to go into the ministry. As the church grew, so did the staff. In 1968, the Reverend W. Lewis McDonald had been hired as the church's first associate pastor. He served until 1985. This energetic, affable, retired pastor quickly and effectively endeared himself to the congregation. Jarrettown has been blessed with a staff that has dedicated and devoted themselves to the congregation.
The music ministry at Jarrettown has always been an integral part of the worship experience. Dorothy Quinsel faithfully served as church organist for many years. Elsie Jean Faulkner became the organist at Jarrettown in 1968 and ministered for 18 years. She did it all. She directed the senior choir, the youth choir, and the children's choir. Soon after Elsie Jean became the church organist, someone wrote this ode. To build up the choir was her heartfelt desire. But where are the young people, she was heard to inquire. So to the church office through the records to search, to find willing young people to sing in our church. She achieved great success with the recruiting of over 50 young people to join the fellowship choir. Perhaps the apex of her career was the presentation of outstanding musical performances, such as Tell It Like It Is, It's the Lord's Thing, and You Were There. There was much camaraderie with the youth at the rehearsals for the musicals. Friendships were formed, which resulted in several marriages within the members of the choir. At Christmas, the spectacular music was always an integral and anticipated part of our worship services. In 1969, all three choirs together performed The Story of Christmas by Matthews. Under Elsie Jean's direction, the Sanctuary Choir presented many major works. One evening at senior choir rehearsal, Norman Miller was heard to say, "I wish we had a bell choir which would further enhance the worship experience at Jarrettown." He formed a bell choir in 1974. A 3-octave set of bells was used in worship services. For over 25 years, Mr. Miller conducted both the youth and adult bell choirs for Sunday morning worship services.
The children's program has always been an important part of the ministry at Jarrettown. Many devoted members have been nursery care helpers. Just in case you were wondering, those are actually cribs in the back, even though they look like cages. Children started Sunday school at the age of 2 in the class lovingly taught by Miss Heppy for over 50 years. Children learned songs, and one Bible story was taught each month. The kindergarten was always well attended with lots of teachers and helpers. Each Sunday, the fun lessons always included singing, a Bible story, and a craft project. And on Halloween, the children dressed as Bible characters. Children enjoyed attending 1st through 5th grades with enthusiastic and very dedicated teachers. One Sunday a year was devoted to Children's Sunday. Events like these at Jarrettown Church were often in the newspaper. In 1958, Dolly Strummy started a program called Junior Church, which was held during the adult church service. The children were asked to bring an offering that they earned by doing chores. They got paid for chores? Christmas was a time when children got to dress like shepherds and be in the live nativity in front of our church. Some children got to be in the classroom nativity. Now there's a happy nativity. On Christmas morning, children got to bring their favorite gift for show and tell. Then they would sing happy birthday to baby Jesus and enjoy the birthday cake. Yum! Often our Sunday school teachers received recognition for their service to the children of Jarrettown. Ruth and Hal Almond are still teaching. Hal and Ruth Almond, Marion Heppy, and Jack Weber were just some of the church members who devoted years and years and years of service to the Christian education of our young children. The Sunday school classes for the big kids have always been inspirational, and we will never forget the Sunday morning fellowship time with coffee and donuts, where we were all greeted by Tracy Baxter.
In 1985, under the direction of Bob Picard, an ad hoc committee was formed to consider the feasibility of a church-wide retreat. His reply to all concerns: Don't worry about it. Various programs and locations were studied, and the committee moved forward to plan for a retreat at the Harvey Cedars Bible Conference Center in Harvey Cedars, New Jersey. Over 200 members of the congregation attended the first 3-day church retreat in February 1986 themed Joy, Jesus, Others and You. The retreat continued annually through a number of years and was a very popular and anticipated gathering. The 3-day session included several Bible study times. Special programs were planned for the youth. Saturday night was the time for fellowship and entertainment. On Sunday morning, the retreat closed with a worship service and special music. Everyone packed up on Sunday afternoon, looking forward to next year. Our church was the home of Boy Scout Troop 546. It was an extremely active and well-run troop under the leadership of Spencer Stoughton, Agnew Derbyshire, George Lightcap, and others. Our church was the home of Boy Scout Troop 546. Boy Scout Sunday was held annually in February with the Boy Scouts participated in the church service. The troop was known for its rope bridge shown here at the practice session in the church parking lot. 38 members of Troop 546 became Eagle Scouts between the years of 1966 and the spring of 1986. More than 20 of them were members of Jarrettown Methodist. Our church supported a Brownie troop, a Girl Scout troop, and a Senior Girl Scout troop that met weekly in the Ark. Girl Scout Sunday in March was always celebrated, and members of the troops were invited to participate in the church service. The bus study group gave a report that recommended the church purchase a Metro Trans Classic bus for $40,000. Drivers were recruited for the membership. 1990 was a very special year, the 125th anniversary of the church. Lay leader Elaine Kalink chaired a committee to plan a series of special events for the anniversary year. On July 6th, the Reverend Robert Lord Curry, pastor of St. George's United Methodist Church, visited Jarrettown and shared stories of the Methodist circuit riders. The service was held in the chapel in the woods. On June 2, 1990, the church congregation held a festive picnic with musical entertainment. The participants enjoyed face painting, clowns, and wishing Pastor Beale a happy birthday. Ross Brightwell arranged to have a visitation by the 26th Pennsylvania Civil War Regiment. Peggy Romweber, as well as others, dressed in period costumes. Extra duty for Pastor Beale and George Kalink. In the fall of 1990, the celebration of the 125th anniversary continued with a magnificent congregational dinner that was held at Williamson's restaurant. There was an inspirational message recognizing Jarrettown's glorious heritage with a challenge to meet opportunities in the future. The evening closed with the singing of Blessed Be the Tie That Binds. Daily Vacation Bible School had started at Jarrettown in 1947. In the late 1960s, the church members decided to include the children of Emmanuel Church of Philadelphia in the Bible school activities. The children were transported to the church property each day to enjoy a week's activities of learning about Jesus and his life. Mornings were spent in classroom activities that included learning the Bible and sharing its message. Lunch was served to the children. Afternoons were spent at Carson Simpson Farms. Or swimming at a church member's outdoor pool. Closing ceremonies with parents in attendance were held on Thursday evening. For several years in the 1980s, many men of the congregation attended the annual men's convocation at Buck Hill Falls Inn in the Poconos. The retreat had such activities such as Bible study, worship services, fellowship, and fun. Tracy Baxter and Ross Brightwell started the process to acquire a charter with the United Methodist Church. By 1986, the men of the church had formally organized themselves into a chapter of the church-wide organization called United Methodist Men. The prayer breakfasts were held every month with a guest speaker, and Mike Pancione followed several former members as the master chef. Selling birdseed became the principal fundraiser for the United Methodist Men. In 1973, the Women's Society of Christian Service became known as United Methodist Women. The officers of the UMW continued to lead the women of the church in circle meetings, general meetings, special speakers, and church dinners and socials. 5 circles formed within this organization. The members of the circles were the worker bees of the UMW.
I was very fortunate that when he last called they were out. I really did want him to be. And she was out writing. And she did this. It must have been at least 4:30 before she came home. Of course, we were very worried.
The annual bazaars were held, sponsored by the UMW, were very popular with local residents as well as church members. Monies raised enabled the church women to help support many missions. In the 1980s, the United Methodist Women established seminar programs with excellent speakers. The executive board had discussed providing meaningful days together that would inspire women. The mission of Aid for Friends is to alleviate the hunger and loneliness of isolated homebound individuals. All the services are provided free of charge. In the 1980s, women of Jarrettown started providing dinners to be sent to Aid for Friends. Under the leadership of Marie Poos, circle members and others of the church would provide meals. Shortly thereafter, under the leadership of Lois Brightwell, another group of women started meeting in the church kitchen every month to prepare meals for the program. It is estimated that our church women have provided over 30,000 meals to this program. Pastor Beale had announced his intentions to retire at the 1992 annual conference. Soon thereafter, a committee was formed to plan a surprise retirement dinner for Anna and Ken Beale in the spring of 1992. Invitations were sent for a surprise retirement dinner to be held at Bentley's Restaurant on May 1st, 1992. The evening celebrated the 33 years of ministry of Ken and Anna Beale at Jarrettown United Methodist Church. Over 300 people attended, and there was a feeling of great thankfulness and warm affection throughout the festivities that celebrated the ministry of Ken and Anna Beale. Keith and Nancy Beale and Mike Andrick provided musical entertainment. Reverend Mike Murphy served as Master of Ceremonies and shared many personal anecdotes. At the end of the program, a love gift was presented to Ken and Anna, as well as an excellent portrait of Pastor Beale commissioned from a local artist. A scrapbook was also given to the Beales that included moving tributes to Ken and Anna for all their years of service. Our church has been richly blessed with a glorious past, an energetic present, and a future that lies ahead. Jarrettown looks forward to the opportunities which God places before her. To God be the glory, great things He has done.